Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to share more with you about Upswing. We'll address your questions towards the end of the call, but please feel free to place them in the chat as they occur to you, and I'll make sure I get back to them. It would also be wonderful if you could introduce yourself in the chat. I'd love to get a sense of where everyone is dialing in from. A little bit about me before we get started. I'm originally from Austin, Texas, born and raised. I was raised by an immigrant mother, and so I had to teach myself the US education system and stopped out of two different institutions before finally graduating. So I went into education intentionally to help support other students so they don't make the same mistakes. And that led me to education technology and eventually to Upswing. And what I love about Upswing is we work with a variety of underrepresented and non-traditional student populations to support their academic journey and help them feel more connected. We recognize that even pre-pandemic, 1 in 3 students were taking online courses, and those online students were dropping out at alarming rates as high as 65%, as cited in Inside Higher Ed. We created a centralized student platform to supplement the great work you're already doing on campus. A large component of that is 24/7 online tutoring, so that even when your staff are at home sleeping or the tutoring center and writing lab are closed for the holidays, students still have access to the support they need. In addition, we've made data usage easily digestible in the Upswing platform, so you can see when and how frequently tutoring is sought both on campus and online. We also monitor trends across different institutions, which showed us this past year across all institutions, just over 1 in 5 or 22% of sessions took place over the weekend, with 10.5% of all sessions taking place between noon and midnight on Sundays. This is a testimonial from one of our partner institutions. I love this quote because it helps showcase how Upswing can supplement existing resources to achieve impressive results. And I should state that we have some of our partners utilizing Upswing to supplement what they're doing on campus, and some using Upswing because there is nothing on campus currently. I mentioned tutoring earlier as a large portion of the services we offer online, but I want to dive further into the functionality provided by both our async and synchronous offerings. Upswing links directly to your LMS and utilizes single sign-on for ease of student access. In addition, we're mobile friendly and exist without the need for any additional widget or download, so students can access us wherever they are. When a student logs into the platform, they're able to see different resources available to them, color-coded by general area. For those of you who care about that, we're going to be looking at the light blue and the light green primarily today. When students go to schedule synchronous tutoring, they can search both by general topic and specific courses they're enrolled in. We match students to their classes through the enrollment database and design that functionality to align them with the right tutor immediately, rather than having them have to guess which math tutor is most applicable to their current coursework, for example. Since launching the enrollment database feature, we've seen an 11% increase in sessions scheduled by students. Students can easily schedule with individuals currently available online or schedule future sessions. So we help bring your on-campus existing staff into the platform, and our algorithm ensures your tutors always appear first. To supplement any areas you may not have, or after hours, we've built a network of over 170 plus tutors who are available to your students 24/7 and can assist in everything from tax accounting to nursing and ASL. All of our Upswing tutors are fully vetted. They receive a quarterly report card based on student reviews and can be removed from the platform if they repeatedly score low. In fact, after every tutoring session that occurs, both student and tutor are able to provide feedback through a customizable form. The default questions focus on understanding of subject material, rating, and an explanation of the rating, but with a variety of question types and unlimited number of questions available, you can customize that form to help collect data that will answer key questions that you're asked daily on campus. I'd also like to mention our tutors practice the Socratic method and are trained not to help on tests and quizzes. Before I move on to the next slide, I would like to draw your attention to the green available now bar that shows like on the top 2 tutors. This means both of those individuals are online and immediately available to help students. We'll talk more about that and why that matters later. Synchronous online tutoring sessions that take place either with your tutors or with Upswing tutors occur in our Virtual Learning Center, or VLC. Here, the student and tutor share a collaborative whiteboard that includes the ability to upload documents for review, add a grid, utilize the equation editor for complex mathematical equations, and share a video and text chat. Both the chat and the whiteboard are recorded and can be downloaded after the session for continued study review. For asynchronous support of students, we offer a writing lab that was built in collaboration with an English professor and includes video resources for students along with MLA and APA citation assistance and examples. Once the student has completed their assignment writing asynchronously, they can submit it for review. We have the ability to create multiple different cues. So if you want students to get writing assistance, in general writing grammar versus, business topics, etc., you can create that. You'll see that on the left under subject. You can create different cues there. Keep in mind that these assignment review cues can be directed to your existing on-campus support, to Upswing tutors, or to both. We have several institutions who offer their writing center staff 12 to 24 hours to claim a paper, after which it goes directly to Upswing tutors for review if unclaimed. So it's completely customizable to what you're looking for. Once a paper is claimed, both tutor and student will be able to see the submission details and see both the original and edited papers. The student and tutor can also communicate back and forth in case the student has additional questions once they receive the returned assignment, or if the tutor needs clarification on an item before beginning their review. From the tutor perspective, it's designed to look very similar to the student view. In case you have tutors who are also peer tutors, for example, the interface would not then be confusing for them. I like to point out that the tutors also have access to the writing lab in case they want to share resources directly with the student based on what they're seeing in an asynchronous paper or synchronous tutoring session. Tutors have the ability to see to set their availability both in person and online, because we know many institutions are now in a hybrid model for tutors. So tutors can also set how many students they want to support at a given time. You'll see that towards the bottom right of the screen. We have the ability to host both individual and group tutoring sessions through the platform. I'd also like to highlight the red button in the top right corner. If at any point a tutor toggles that on, it shows them as immediately available to meet with students. How we saw the green available now bar earlier. It's our way of establishing walk-ins online so that you have a consistent flow of service regardless of if students are in person or virtual. And you can see that green bar here as well. I love that feature. In addition to editing availability, tutors can upload a profile picture, which is something we require for our Upswing tutors, share more about themselves and their experience, and even include languages they're fluent in. We added this intentionally because we know that while someone might be looking for a math tutor, if English isn't their first language and they forget a word, it helps to have someone who would understand. In fact, we have a case study later in this presentation about the highlights of having multilingual tutors. And if Marco ends up being your favorite tutor, you can easily find him again and schedule with him whenever you want. So we've introduced, the ability for people to find tutors they like, and we find most frequently there are repeat sessions for individuals. This is my favorite feature, not that I'm partial at all. From the administrative view, you're able to see all on-campus and virtual tutors employed by your institution. You can subdivide by campus location, subject, and whether they're hosting sessions online or in person. Having worked at a community college with 12 different campus locations, I know scheduling can be a nightmare. This chart allows you to confirm coverage and also see the utilization of tutors. I took this screenshot from a demo site, so hopefully you would actually see more red blocks, which means that they are scheduled if you're utilizing Upswing yourself. We've had several institutions edit their staffing location and hours based on trends they uncovered utilizing this tool and Upswing as a whole. I also like to point out, since we know Marco is available online, he has that green dot next to his name. So you can see online availability right now as well versus scheduled. When you're in the administrative side of the site, looking at online versus in-person, campus versus Upswing tutor usage, you can also segment the results by group. So if you have a strategic plan item, for example, that says, I need first generation students to receive 2+ hours tutoring in math. You can look at those particular individuals, how many sessions they've attended, and their tutor feedback. I included 3 examples above, but please keep in mind that Upswing is very customizable. Pair that with a customized feedback form from the sessions, and you can dig into more strategic initiatives that matter to you specifically. I love this quote too. I love a lot of things, apparently. What I appreciate about it is that over a 2-year period, Winston-Salem State University saw a 2.2 average GPA grow to a 2.8 average GPA for their football, cheerleading, and women's volleyball teams. They chose to segment Upswing to be able to track progress among those different populations on campus, which is something we can easily do in the platform and see many of our institutions utilizing as a tool. It really showcases the ability of Upswing to track students in the system based on your specific strategic goals. So why us? I hope throughout this call so far, you've seen evidence of tools unique to Upswing that put your staff and the work you're doing front and center. We are mission driven to help support your underrepresented and non-traditional students in particular, including growing populations of online and adult learners. To help us accomplish this, we've established partnerships with the listed organizations to grow our support and data analysis abilities for the 60+ institutions we are proud to serve on a daily basis. And while we have those partners supporting us, we ensure each new institution we partner with has a hero to help them through onboarding to adoption, or higher education retention officers. I think it's cute. For our partners who sign multi-year agreements, we provide a 30+ page retention impact study annually that analyzes your unique Upswing usage and success to provide proof of positive changes in GPA and retention. This is an example anonymized for one of our current partners with 2 interesting data points that we saw from their system usage. Here's another example. I mentioned many of our tutors speak multiple languages, and we've seen students who get tutored in their native language have dramatically increased adoption and success. So I like this study as well. I know I've gone really quickly, but I'd like to close with a word from our CEO. We didn't set out to create Upswing to target Black or Brown students. We set out to target a certain need that resonated with me growing up. It just so happens that half of the students that are now using our system happen to be minorities. So I think that's what happens when people from different perspectives are finally able to build products that reflects their backgrounds. I like this as someone who was raised by an immigrant parent and had to teach myself the US education system. I'm proud to be working somewhere that cares so deeply about student success and particularly among underrepresented student populations. On behalf of Upswing, I would like to thank you for joining us and today and to learn more about how we can support you. But I'd love to take questions and I'll turn my video on. Hello.
Samantha, there's a question here. Let's see. What happens if a student doesn't show up to a tutoring session?
Oh, that's a great question. And I recognize I forgot to mention that. We would consider that an abandoned session. So the student would receive a notification before the session so that they, based on their notification settings, they get email or text reminder that it's coming up. So if they do not attend, we consider that abandoned, and we actually track in the system all abandoned sessions. And if a student gets more than 3, we put them on a list on the admin dashboard view so that you can easily see, who are your students who are they're signing up, they have good intentions, but they're not actually completing sessions. And so you can follow up with them directly. And if we find a student is creating a lot of sessions, like, 3 months in advance with tutors and then abandoning them, we'll also let the administrator on campus know, hey, you might want to have a conversation with the student because they're, particularly if it's your tutors on campus, you'd like them to honor that appointment. It's a great question. Can we
Here's
sample?
another question. Can we sample the product for a period of time? Also, a question about cost.
Yeah, we can follow up directly on cost. It's based on enrollment. And we didn't address it earlier, so no worries. At this time, we don't have a sample, but we'll be happy to do like a live demo of the system, so we can show you the different aspects. I'm gonna put my email. I think it's on the next slide. Yeah. Okay. In addition to online tutoring, we, as part of this platform, have mental health resources, the capacity to do advising, and a text-based virtual assistant named Anna, who can promote and highlight deadlines on campus, send encouragement, and also drive students to the tutoring. In addition, we link to your LMS so they can find it easily. It was a little too much to cover in one session, so if you want a longer conversation about it, I'd be happy to schedule that. And yeah, it was a great question.
Awesome. What about students if they give, can they give feedback on their tutoring sessions?
Yeah. So both the student and the tutor are asked to provide feedback, and we currently have it set with a default of 3 questions, which was understanding, rating for tutor and or student. So sorry, understanding of subject material, I should clarify, rating of student or tutor, and then sort of more detailed drop down multi-choice of why that rating. But that's fully customizable. We have some schools who they want, 6 different questions because they want to target it towards things that are being asked specifically for a TRIO grant on campus, that they want to customize that feedback form and gather different data. And all of that will show in the admin panel. So you'll have access to that and easily downloadable files and data visualizations. So that's a great question. All really good questions. Any other questions that I can help with?
I'll ask one more. Just in regards to understanding usage of the platform. And then also, you touched upon this earlier about retention, but really trying to understand usage and retention when it comes to utilizing the platform. What does that really look like?
Yeah, so you'll be able to see from the admin view all usage from everything from asynchronous to synchronous tutoring. If you utilize advising, you'll also be able to see that. And then student responses to on a virtual assistant text messages. So you can see by student how they're interacting, and then you can see as a whole also how they're utilizing. I think I'm just going to toggle back through a couple slides. I think this is going to be the best one for like an example of what one of the dashboard images might look like to show a general breakdown. But then for multi-year clients, we also do an annual retention impact study, which looks at, the number of students who are utilizing it, contrast to information from the school on their GPA, if that changed. So we gather data from Upswing and we compare it to how the student is performing at the institution and if they're returning and retaining. And so we can give you details on, how students who utilize the platform are actually their retention and success is being actively affected at the institution. Does that help answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's one we get asked a lot, actually, because it's very nice to have resources, but how do you actually prove their effectiveness, which is something I oversaw a grant at Austin Community College for student retention and performance. And it's a key question everyone wants to know is student enrollment is down. How do we prove that we're able to keep students, and how do we better keep students on campus so that we, as they say, it's always easier to keep somebody you have than to find a new customer. And that, I think that relates to students as well.
There's another question.
Oh,
do we have to download a data system provided by Upswing, or is it universally compatible?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm so sorry that I didn't mention that. We are fully mobile, so you can access this on your browser. Nothing needs to be downloaded, no widget, no Zoom or Google Meet or anything. The VLC exists in the browser. So if you're doing a synchronous tutoring session, you would be doing that without needing any downloads. And then you can also shrink it down to see what it would look like on a iPad or mobile device, or have full functionality no matter which device you're on. All you need is Wi-Fi or 3G data. And then because we integrate with the single sign-on and have a link in the LMS, students can directly log in using their same credentials, very easily find it and utilize it that way. They don't have to have anything on their computer or system computers in the learning lab, anything like that. It's meant to be plug and play, very simple, because we know, often there's firewalls at the institution where, if you have a certain something, it has to get pre-approved by IT, and it's very much just like the same requirements as if you wanted to watch something on YouTube. You don't need to download anything. You're just able to plug and play.
But a follow-up to that is,
Yeah.
How long does it take to really launch the platform then? If an institution wants to, license Upswing, what does that timeline look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. The schools who have been the most successful at getting it widely adopted by students, I would say they take on average 6 weeks to promote it, to get it customized, to get those courses for students, into the system so that they're automatically matched with tutors based on their course subject. We've had people do it in a shorter time period, but I think if you're really wanting to set it up for success, you want to budget some time to commit to promoting it, and getting your staff or your tutors who will be coming online with it trained on how to use it and assist students.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to click through many slides again to go back to the one with my email. If I know we've got just like 2 more minutes left in our designated time, but these are really great questions. If you come up with any more after the call and would like more resources, or if there's anything I can do to assist, it's hopefully a very easy email to remember, and I'd be happy to connect and provide examples or schedule a demo to walk through it in more detail. And I can't see anyone who doesn't have their video on, so I'm just gonna wave and say thank you so much for joining us. And we'll send out a copy of the recording after. So if you want to reference anything, I know I can talk really fast. I just get really excited. So we'll be able to access that as well. Okay, well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.